formally declare a state of emergency on Nigeria's water supply, sanitation and hygiene sector.
Special privilege and pleasure to officially unveil the logo of the Clean Nigeria and Open
support the efforts to ensure that Nigerians have access to good water supply and sanitation facilities.
While it may not be said that any single being was the first to discover water, as is the case with other natural resources, the role this life-giving liquid plays in human health, sanitation and hygiene is immeasurable. Whatever task we may choose to assign to water, human beings have come to realize that this life-saving resource is not one to be mismanaged or underutilized. And it is against this backdrop that those saddled with managing water need to be carefully and diligently selected, which wasn't the case in the past. The Buhari administration seems to understand this issue, and therefore meticulously selected and appointed as Minister for Water Resources a professional engineer with track record and knowledge of the sector. The coming of Engineer Suleiman Adamu, FNSE, to the exalted office of Minister of Water Resources brought about a dramatic change in the sector. As an astute engineer imbued with necessary professional qualifications, Adamu assumed office as Minister with the benefit of hindsight of a keen outside observer. The reputable engineer from the private sector and fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers swung into action to reposition the ministry to be result-based and performance-oriented. While warmly welcomed by members of staff of the ministry in November 2015, he knew very well that beyond the pleasantries or a warm welcome, the task ahead was daunting. The minister realized that the input of other stakeholders was necessary in this direction and called for the assemblage of relevant participants from across the country in a retreat in the Federal Capital Territory. After a careful study of key issues, ongoing and abundant projects were identified as the major challenge to the development and progress of the water sector. Subsequently, a bold and pragmatic plan was developed to address the challenges. A roadmap to facilitate the development of the sector also followed immediately.
And within the roadmap, one cardinal thing that he did was that there must be technical audits of all these uncompleted or abandoned projects nationwide. And within my department, 35 number projects were studied. They were audited. And then after the auditing, he did another thing, he prioritized them. He prioritized them into high, medium, and low, and then we focus on the one that are high priority.
Indeed, continuation of ongoing projects is a policy direction for which the Buhari administration stands apart. And 116 viable water supply, sanitation, dams and irrigation projects were thus prioritized for completion.
All these projects, after we audited them and prioritized them, one of the key criterion that we used was how much beneficial is that project to the community. And on the basis of that, we selected the projects that we felt we should continue with because of the tremendous benefit that they will have to the people. If you leave those projects, you abandon them and start new ones, chances are that you will not be able to accomplish your own. You may not even finish your own. So what have you done? The other ones have not been finished. The ones you want to do have not been finished. And it becomes a vicious cycle. So it was just a professional judgment on our part, and we're very happy we did it.
In no time, the turnaround has been evident. Out of 35 abundant water supply projects, 13 have been completed.
We have projects like Zobe water supply project in Katsina, Dutse and Katsina, supplying Katsina with water. And this is a project that was started in 1992. But alhamdulillah, we're able to finish it just before the advent of the COVID-19 lockdown. We also have projects like Kwantagora Auna Dam and Irrigation Project, which was started in 1987 and abandoned. We're back on track. It's about 60–70% now. Of course, we finished also projects like Kashimbila Dam and the hydropower, 40 megawatts hydropower project. Some projects like Urara hydropower, we're waiting for concessioning. We managed to do that. We've also brought about new other projects like Zungeru Ushishi water supply project, Ota water supply project, Adada Dam in Enugu State, which else? Ile-Ife Dam, Ogbese Dam in Ekiti State. There are quite a number of them, Mangu Dam in Plateau. And so far we've finished more than 20, I think, projects out of the 116. Although out of the 116, we also, I told you, we prioritized. So among the priority projects, we've finished quite a lot.
3 years after a partnership agreement with the state government, the Zobe Regional Water Supply Project is set to live out its dream. The treatment plant is stored with its components: aerator, clarifier filter tank, 10 million litre clear water tank, pump house, and 2 6 MVA power substations are now breathing life into Katsina as well as Dutse environs.
The total installed capacity of this water treatment plant is 75,000 cubic meters per day. But as it is now, they are only benefiting 50,000 cubic meters per day. At Katsina, the environs, before now, they are enjoying water from Ajiwaya water treatment plant, and the capacity there is not adequate to also cover the entire Katsina town. But with the coming of this water treatment plant and the production of water here, it will enable the Katsina environs, the whole of the Katsina environs, to be covered, as well as some nearby communities or villages near Katsina town.
This project is a regional water scheme project. It's going to serve 6 to 7 local governments area of Katsina State. One is Dutse, Katsina, Kankia, Charanchi, Safana, and Kurfi, and lastly the Patagara local government areas. And currently 3 local governments are enjoying, the water supply from Zobe water scheme, and the other local government are on their way. The state government is going to reticulate the system very soon.
For the 3 local government areas currently benefiting, it is a new lease of life with easy access to water.
I want to take the opportunity to thank the federal government for this very big intervention, and the water supply demand for Katsina is probably in the region of about 150 million liters per day. We are getting our 70 million liters from Zobe, and also we are doing another intervention in Ejua, which we are expecting another 50 million liters. So at the end of it all, maybe in another 6 months from now, Katsina will be adequately covered with potable water.
Not too far away in the neighboring state of Jigawa lies the Kazaure water supply scheme, conceived to assuage the thirst of the residents of a historic kingdom. The people of Kazaure have for decades known what scarcity of safe water feels like, as decent and clean pipe-borne water was a challenge to the town. Jikarate Water Project no longer suffices, as the ancient community's water demands have outgrown its initial 5 million litre per day capacity. But not to worry, the ministry landed with a new project. A water treatment plant constructed with various components that would make the previous scarcity history. 10 million litres per day would be more than enough for the population of the Honourable Minister's hometown. A 2 million capacity reservoir is also situated at the hilltop of Sohankefi to supply water by gravity to the main town of Kazauri.
The main thing here is to generate water from the intake and treat it here within this the treatment plant, and thereafter send the water to the hill tank in Kazauri town. So from there it goes to the various pipelines.
Engineer Suleiman Adamu's enthusiasm and eagerness to turn the sector around is infectious. Series of brainstorming sessions with participants drawn from state governments and development partners for an update about the water situation in Nigeria continued, and the gathering finally came to a unanimous conclusion that the water sector was in crisis and an urgent intervention was needed. But all hope is not lost, as they also reached a consensus to chart in a new course for this important sector. November 8, 2018 signaled an epoch in the annals of the sector. President Muhammadu Buhari demonstrated the biggest commitment to the sector with the expression of the political will identified to have been missing in the recipe for a purposeful turnaround. Representatives of state governments, international and development partners and other relevant stakeholders converged on the banquet hall of the presidential villa in Abuja. They witnessed the presidential launch of the National Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Wash Action Plan. This came with another decisive step: declaration of state of emergency on the sector. The National Wash Action Plan is a 13-year revitalization strategy with the central aspiration of ensuring access to water and sanitation for all by the year 2030 through a strengthened federal-state partnership.
I call on all state governments to complement this effort by according the sector similar recognition to enable us to work together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals targets for water supply, sanitation and hygiene by 2030. Henceforth, federal government support to state governments will be based on their commitment to implement the National Water Supply, Sanitation and Action Plan in their respective states and to end open defecation by 2025.
A few months on, the manifestation of the action plan has become glaringly evident in the transformation of a water supply and sanitation landscape. Partnership for Expanded Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene (PWASH) is one of the instruments of an all-inclusive change in the sector. Rural communities are the target of this initiative to attain universal access to safe drinking water and adequate sanitation in accordance with the Sustainable Development Agenda. After its launch by the Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo in 2016, Ogun and Kano states were the first to meet the criteria for the pilot phase.
The PWASH is to serve rural areas So all local governments are studied, and they know the current situation of water supply, identify the gaps, and then provide solution to bridge the gap. And then that becomes a plan for that state. So within that, we will sit with the federal government and the state government will sit together and say, look, let's take this number of state governments. If it is 10 that we have identified, they prioritize, the state will prioritize according to the budget they have for the year. And then we say, look, if it is 4 that we are going to address this year, federal government will take 2 local governments, state government will take 2 local governments. So on 50-50 basis. And then all the water supply gaps that we have in the prioritized local governments will be met within the budget year. And that we have piloted in Ogun State as well as Kano State.
4 years into its implementation, hundreds of rural communities who have seen and felt the benefits have now become advocates for the scaling up of this initiative. In the gateway state, the federal government led the way for the benefits to come with the instrumentality of PWASH. 8 local government areas were selected, shared equally between federal and state governments for execution of various water supply projects. Overhead tanks are now common features across the selected communities. In these communities, the hitherto scarce commodity is now being taken for granted. Access to safe water is now as easy as turning the knob. PWASH helps discover solutions to some of the most nagging issues associated with government water projects in the local communities. Poor attention, absence of supervision and sensitization had all to do with it. Now, with PWASH initiative in place, residents are organized to take ownership of the projects, including maintenance.
We sincerely appreciate the effort of the government, and we've organized ourselves as the maintaining group. We were raising 200 naira per family to sustain it, and per house is 500 naira, those that have it extended into their compound.
To contribute the money is fair. It's better, far better than to buy water, because a keg is 20 naira we are buying. So we cannot, in a month we contribute that 200. We use water of 600 before the month finish, so we really thank God for this water they brought for us. We even thank the person that brought it, that we say, may God bless that person in Jesus' name.
This is the new experience in 4 local government areas of Ikene, Obafemi Owode, Ijebu North and Ogun Waterside, where the federal government set the pace, and in Odeda, Yewa North, Adowodo, Ota, and Ipokia, where the state government carried out its own projects.
It has been very successful so far. The most important thing, even though it's a new technology of solar-powered system, I think this lesson was picked from the past experience, where just a little change for fuel from the community would deny them having access to water. So the initiative of increasing access to water supply through solar power system, where people will have less to contribute in terms of before they can even power the water scheme. And it has been very successful because people are now having access to potable water supply.
People are happy about the project in terms of accessibility to water, and this will help even the development partners to come and invest more in terms of projects, and this will encourage and it will give the state government, even the federal government, a kind of inspiration to even do more, and other states will also embrace it, and with this we are all better for it in the country.
Kano, the second PWASH pilot, has stories to tell about its experience on the efficiency of healthy partnership between the federal and state governments. Across the chosen local government areas of the state, life has become easier for the rural dwellers because of access to water. Hundreds of boreholes were either sunk